you made a very frank and honest answer to that question, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Senator Gillibrand. Senator Scott.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. Well, first off, congratulations to each of you on your nominations. I think every one of you is going to do a great job. Let me start with Mr. Matthews. I've always had concerns about how much influence JAG officers have. Might be a little bit different than my colleague has just talked about, but in the combat, so we have people that are responsible for our men and women in uniform to lead them in battle. How much influence does it have a JAG officer on their, I understand the JAG officers give them legal advice, but ultimately they're not the decision maker. And just you keep hearing stories that the lawyers are running every time that we have to go. We put men and women in harm's way. If we're going to put men and women in harm's way, I want somebody that's a warfighter rather than a JAG officer to be the one that's making the final decision. So how does it actually work?
Thank you for the question, Senator. A couple of things. One, JAG officers are warfighters. We who wear the uniform, we're part of the joint force. We're soldiers. We want to destroy the enemy just like anybody else. But if the JAG officers are running the command, that's a command failure, in my opinion, because we're advisors. We only advise. The commander, the policymaker, should be making decisions. That would be as if the counsel to the senator is telling the senator what to do. That's not how it works. We can only advise, so that's my response, Senator.
So the tactical decisions are not made by JAG officers.
They should not be. Now, I will say, Senator, in 20 years of counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operations, we have had we have exercised a great deal of restraint and conduct of combat operations and lethal activities. And so the law of war is quite permissive, but the ROE, which is policy, not a legal requirement, has been quite restrictive, and that's impacted our ability to get after the enemy sometimes. We should always adhere to the law of war, of course, distinction, proportionality, military necessity, humanity, but I think we live in a risk-adverse culture, and commanders are always concerned about getting relieved, about getting a 15-6 investigation where they killed somebody in a CivCast incident, and that's going to impact their ability to be promoted. And so that's an issue that I think you properly identify, Senator.
Thank you. Mr. Hansel, in 2019, we experienced a tragic terrorist attack at the Pensacola Naval Air Station. After that tragic day, I fought hard as Florida's senator to get legislation passed to ensure we properly vet every foreign national, regardless of their country of origin or any partnerships we have with these countries. I was glad that we were able to make this, get this become law, but we have to remain vigilant. Can you discuss how we can continue to expand security on bases and protect the brave individuals of our military forces and their families?
Absolutely, Senator. Being from the Panhandle, very aware of the incident in your fight for the legislation after it, if confirmed, as part of my.
Because you know what was happening, it was the military wasn't deciding who was allowed on our base. The State Department was making the decision about who was allowed on our base, not the Department of Defense, which made no sense at all.
As I testified before, and I assume I will more today, is it's these seams in government that we have to really be careful of. And I think after this legislation, though, it's very clear about the vetting requirements needed for military, for international military students. And I would say, as disturbed as I am about the status of our vetting, security clearance vetting capabilities in the department right now, there can be no exception about the application of them in securing our personnel. And I would just say, in addition to, since that incident, there's been new threats arising, and one that is of concern of mine is this threat of UAS on our installations, and would certainly work with my colleagues in policy and the counter USX task force to best address that.
Thank you. Mr. Marks, constantly we get reports that our military is not ready to go to battle today. If something happened today, they're not ready to go to battle. So what are the things that you can do to make sure that our men and women are prepared?
Senator, I greatly appreciate that question. And one of the greatest ways that I believe that we can help our service members is to ensure that the places that they live and work are of a high enough standard and quality so that they're not distracted by the things that would take them from their mission preparedness to ensure that they're 100% ready to go do the work that they need to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Senator Rosen.